Creating Dementia Solutions is our program. I'm Richard Pyatt. Thanks for being here. You see us on Access Vision. You might hear us, too, as a podcast as well for Miles for Memories in Calhoun County. In fact, MilesForMemories.org is the website you might want to take a look at and check out a number of things there that are informational, but also technology information and more at MilesForMemories.org. You were with us in our last episode, perhaps, when we talked about dementia and its types. Today, we're going to talk about a number of things centered around the idea that it is important to know what type of dementia your loved one may be contending with, and we'll explain why coming up in just a minute. Michael Porter is here from the Oaks at North Point Woods and the Legacy as well. Hello, Michael.
Yes, thank you, Richard. Thank you for having me.
So what is your role with North Point? Talk about what your daily routine is like.
So daily routine for me and my role, I am the community service representative for the Oaks at North Point Woods. Daily routine is essentially, I'm responsible for admissions into the community. So whether that be subacute rehab or memory care or assisted living.
Okay.
I'm responsible for those things daily. I'm in the community, whether that be at Bronson Battle Creek, Bronson Methodist in Kalamazoo, Oaklawn Hospital, any of the hospitals, urgent care, you name it, I'm there. We had a pickleball tournament back in October of last year. We're doing another in the spring. Or just before the summer or something along those lines. But yeah, pretty much anything, man, you can think of.
You have a broad focus.
Yes.
But a big part of that is the memory care part, and you're in the habit of meeting folks who are considering becoming residents.
That's correct.
Yeah. So when you're meeting them, why is it important to know what type of dementia we're talking about?
So that we can figure out the best solution to fit their needs, right? So with different types of dementia comes different types of care. Mm-hmm. Most important piece is understanding like what type of care to provide.
Yeah, so if someone has Alzheimer's or someone has Lewy body, the approach that you present might be different.
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay. This is interesting too because you're meeting folks, I presume, who are caregivers, but you're also meeting folks who are prospective residents.
Correct.
So how do you go about those conversations? How do you connect with them?
Yeah, so essentially the goal behind that is to make sure that it's all in the approach, right? Making sure that we are cognizant of the fact that this is something that I'm dealing with on a daily basis and fully understanding that we need to have compassion and empathy for the person, right? So you want to make sure that those conversations are geared in a way that's not as abrasive, right? Our goal is to understand where they are, meet them there, and help them along the way.
Mm-hmm. And I would imagine, too, that the conversations you're having at that stage with a caregiver are different than the conversations you might be having with a prospective resident. That is to say, a caregiver might have different concerns.
Correct. Caregiver may be in bed at, or just looking at family members, right? Like say, for instance, you're home, mom or dad and or husband or wife are there with you. They suffer from whatever type of dementia that it may be. Mm-hmm. We're exit seeking, which is hey, we're looking for a place to go. Mom or dad may have some form of sundowners and they're awake or used to work at a bar in the past, right? And these are my active hours of the night. I'm asleep, they're out, he unlocks the door, he's outside, and the neighbor is the one to bring him home. Mm-hmm. That's caregiver conversation, right? How are we prepared for that? What are the steps that we're taking to make sure that we keep this from happening in the future, obviously, right? And what solutions can we provide to give you peace of mind that it won't happen again?
Yes.
For the prospective resident themselves, conversations are different because these are the things that, speaking from the resident's point of view, that I was capable of doing on my own. And I want to make sure their biggest piece is to make sure that I don't lose the independence that I had before I became part of your community. Mm-hmm. How can you make sure that that's something that I'll continue to receive? And, what steps are you taking to get me there? So.
Yeah, and so they might feel differently about this change, but you also might be meeting caregivers who aren't sure it's time for this type of step. Is that true?
That's true. And in those situations, that's the part of meeting people where they are, right? How long have you dealt with this circumstance? How do you feel about it? And what are the things that we can do to help you get there? Now, whether that's today, in 6 months, or 2 to 3 years from now, we'll work with you along the way. More so than just me being at the hospitals or dealing with things that we're doing in the community to bring awareness to what we offer. I also perform home visits. I'm there to on-site in the event that you're at the hospital, and we have questions or concerns as the family. So it's a working thing that does it. It's cohesive, right? It works outside of the building as well as internally.
And when we talk about the types of dementia and the care that might be different, we just spent some time in the last episode talking about Alzheimer's versus Lewy body, for example. So when someone's dealing with, say, Lewy body, that might be an approach that now involves some physical manifestations that you have to consider when you're considering exactly what someone might need.
That's exactly that's the case. That's
Yeah.
definitely.
So what happens then in those conversations? Do you bring a different kind of medical perspective into an evaluating situation? What happens?
That's exactly what I do. So essentially, I've got partners that are within the community that go out with me. Like maybe it's the director of nursing that may help on an on-site so that we can better understand. Normally what you'll find is that we receive a referral from an institution and or from home. Either way, we will ask for that information prior to your arrival so that we have an opportunity to review it so that I know what we're dealing with before we even meet. In that case, whether it's my director of nursing and or my legacy neighborhood director, Kelly, we're out in the community and we work together, different levels of experience in dementia and or care that give us a different perspective to help us make the decision.
Yeah. Do you ever meet a caregiver who's having trouble making the decision?
Always.
Yeah.
It's a really hard decision to make. Most of the time you find that the caregivers are family members, and having your loved one outside of the home, whether it's culturally or, just based on the way that you were raised, that factors into the decision-making process.
Yeah. And so they might be even temporarily stuck trying to say, okay, I'm ready to do this, even though their loved one may be ready.
That's true. So things that we offer to help you make that decision would be along the lines of adult day care. We have adult night, and we also provide respite stays. So caregivers can give their loved ones an opportunity to experience the community, and they can come in and help the loved one make a decision so that they can see what to expect. There's a misconception on care in a facility for a lot of people that are caring for their loved ones. And the only way to truly make an educated decision is through the experience.
Yeah, you make an interesting point that no matter what type of dementia we're talking about, many of us have a commitment, we think, to care at home that we think is probably the best because we're doing it.
That's correct.
Yeah. So how do you talk through that? How do you help people understand?
We look at situations that you've experienced in the past and we dissect it with you, right? Just to basically give you an opportunity to see. That's the truth about all of it, is that you need to see it. It's easy to talk about it, but that's part of the experience that I was saying. Like more so than just dissecting the circumstance that you've experienced over time and giving you pointers and or uncovering anything that may not have been met. Obviously, we're having this meeting because there was a reason, or something that happened previously.
Something happened.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, bringing that to light, and also with bringing that to light or bringing those circumstances to fruition, like you get the chance to help them find solutions and also give them like a different view on it.
And a sense of comfort.
Correct.
I presume. That's a big job, Michael.
We try our best.
Yeah.
I try my best.
That's a big job to help someone feel comfortable about turning over some of the care that their loved one needs to someone else.
It creates a ton of value in the role, truthfully. That is one thing that I can say that I love about the role, more so than being part of the community and, a job or career. It is understanding that you were a catalyst in the continuum of care for someone else's loved one.
Yeah. So imagine that someone is on top of just the notion of giving up some of the care for their loved one, is now in a situation where they really have to help understand which type of dementia their loved one has, so you can help facilitate the right approach. Do you run into challenges where folks maybe don't know what kind of dementia they're dealing with their loved one, and you have to help them sort that out?
I do, quite often. So what we do is we provide them with, not only do we provide like family forums where you can come in and sit with a family that has gone through or is going through the same type of circumstance. I also provide virtual dementia tours, which gives them the opportunity to come in and experience what it's like to have different types of dementia. Whether that be, we have goggles that you can wear to change the way that you view the environment, no different than your grandmother or grandfather would. Noise that comes from headphones gives you an experience of what it's like to have a bunch of noise going on, right? And things for your shoes for neuropathy. So,
Yes.
It
might be difficult to walk, so you can experience that.
Correct. And we ask you to basically do a few tasks just to fully experience what it's like to go through that on a day-to-day basis. So just more than just conversation, some sort of activity and the ability to show you, right? It's that, I think, is the biggest catalyst in the decision-making process, is truly seeing from the resident's point of view.
Well, when someone is at a point where these questions come up and they need some guidance on this kind of decision that has to be made, Michael Porter is among those folks who help think that through, and we're grateful you do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Creating Dementia Solutions is our program. MilesForMemories.org is the website we invite you to look at. Take a look at some of the help home and safe return technology that's there, which can help give peace of mind as well, and perhaps help a loved one avoid the emergency room and get back to home quicker. Check that out at MilesForMemories.org. I'm Richard Pyatt. Thanks for being with us.